The sterile, recycled air of Veridian Dynamics hums with a barely perceptible energy, a constant vibration that speaks of immense power flowing through hidden conduits. Doctor, Aris Thorne walks down a corridor that seems carved from a single, endless sheet of obsidian, her soft-soled shoes making no sound on the impossibly smooth floor. Polished chrome accents catch the light from the seamless glowing panels overhead, casting long, distorted shadows that flicker and dance like silent ghosts. She clutches a crystalline data slate to her chest, her knuckles white, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. Behind her, a panoramic window offers a breathtaking, almost vertiginous view of the corporate campus, gleaming white spires piercing a perpetually twilight sky, crisscrossed by the silent, floating navigation lights of automated transport shuttles. This is the pinnacle of human achievement, a temple of progress, and today she is its high priestess. Her destination is the Apex Auditorium, a circular chamber reserved for the most significant announcements. The door slides open with a hushed, pressurized sigh, revealing a vast, dimly lit space. The central presentation floor is a pool of brilliant white light, surrounded by concentric tiers of seating that fade into shadowy obscurity. The air here is colder, smelling of ozone and anticipation. Waiting for her in the center of the light is Julian Vance. He is a man carved from the same polished materials as his headquarters, his suit a deep, liquid gray that seems to absorb the light. His smile is a perfect, calibrated gesture, all white teeth and genuine-looking crinkles around his eyes, but it doesn't quite reach the cool, assessing gaze that sweeps over her. Aris, his voice is a warm, resonant baritone that fills the space, smooth and reassuring. The board is watching. The future is watching. Are you ready to show them a new dawn for humanity? I believe in Symbiont, Julian. Its potential it's pure. It's everything we dreamed of in med school. It needs direction. A strong hand to guide it into the world. And you, my dear, are that hand. Now remember, speak to the medical applications. The end of human suffering. That is the story they need to hear first. His words are supportive, yet they feel like a cage being gently constructed around her. The holographic projectors hidden in the ceiling hum to life, and suddenly the auditorium is gone, replaced by a breathtaking, photorealistic simulation of the human circulatory system. Aris takes a steadying breath, the data slate in her hand warming as it syncs with the system. She begins her presentation, her voice gaining strength and passion as she speaks. For centuries, the body's ability to heal has been a slow, imperfect miracle. A deep cut, a broken bone, a damaged organ we could only stand by and hope. But what if we could give it a new language? A new set of instructions for regeneration? She gestures, and the hologram shifts to show a stunningly complex, beautiful organism resembling a swirling galaxy of liquid gold and emerald green. This is Symbiont, a bioengineered, semi-sentient microbial matrix. It doesn't just stitch a wound shut. It reads the body's own genetic blueprint, and using a cocktail of synthesized proteins and targeted stem cells, it rebuilds. It restores. A traumatic injury that would mean a lifetime of disability can be completely healed in a matter of days. The hologram shows a simulation of a severe spinal cord injury, the nerves shattered and frayed. Then the golden-green symbiont flows into the area, a living, intelligent river. It bridges the gaps, weaving new neural pathways with impossible speed, until the cord is whole again, pulsing with simulated life. A collective, awed gasp echoes from the shadowy tiers. We are not just talking about healing, Aris concludes, her voice trembling with emotion, her conscience clear and bright. We are talking about the end of permanent physical trauma. We are offering a second chance, written in the very language of life itself. Julian Vance steps forward, his smile wider now, a beacon of corporate pride. He places a hand on her shoulder, a gesture that feels both possessive and celebratory. Magnificent, Aris. Truly magnificent. You have single-handedly redefined the boundaries of biotechnology. Veridian Dynamics is proud to shepherd this breakthrough. He turns to address the unseen audience, his voice taking on a grand, statesman-like quality. This is not merely a product, it is a promise. A promise of a world free from the shadow of catastrophic injury. A world our children will inherit, thanks to the brilliance nurtured within these walls. The lab is a sanctuary of clean lines and soft, ambient light. The gentle hum of incubation units a familiar comfort. But the memory of Vance. The memory of Vance's hand on her shoulder lingers like a brand, the effusive praise now feeling like a layer of lacquer over something hollow. For 3 weeks, the silence from the upper echelons of Veridian Dynamics has been deafening. Her access to the project's main servers, once a river of real-time data, has been reduced to a trickle, status reports filled with vague, repeating phrases like undergoing optimization and resource allocation assessment. The euphoria of her presentation has been systematically dismantled, replaced by a cold, gnawing suspicion that coils in her stomach every time she walks the obsidian halls. Her private lab, once a sanctuary, now feels like a gilded cage. The soft, ambient lighting seems to mock her, and the gentle, rhythmic hum of the symbiont incubation units, a sound she once found as comforting as a heartbeat, now feels like the ticking of a countdown. She spends her days running redundant diagnostics, watching the golden-green organisms swirl in their nutrient baths, performing their beautiful, miraculous dance of creation for an audience of one. The official corporate communiques are a masterclass in obfuscation, each one a perfectly polished stone added to the walls separating her from her life's work. Julian Vance, when he replies to her inquiries, is all smooth, liquid charm, his holographic avatar smiling that perfect, calibrated smile. Patience, Aris. A breakthrough of this magnitude requires careful handling. We are building the infrastructure for a new world. Trust the process. It is the sterile, recycled air, smelling faintly of antiseptic and ozone, that finally pushes her. It's the same air she breathed as an idealistic student, dreaming of ending suffering, not of being managed by a corporate machine. Late one night, long after the graveyard shift has begun its silent patrols, she makes her decision. The corridor outside her lab is a tunnel of polished darkness, the only illumination coming from the faint, phosphorescent strips along the floor that pulse with a slow, steady rhythm, like the breathing of a sleeping leviathan. Her destination is the central data nexus, a restricted sector whose security clearance should be far beyond her pay grade. But Aris Thorne is the mother of Symbiont, and she built a few backdoors into its core architecture, secret pathways known only to her. The nexus door is a massive slab of brushed titanium, devoid of any handle or keypad, a seamless part of the wall. She presses her palm against a seemingly innocuous service panel, and for a heart-stopping second, nothing happens. Then she whispers a string of alphanumeric code, the genetic seed key for the first symbiont prototype. The door slides open with a hushed, hydraulic sigh, revealing a cavernous space. The air here is several degrees cooler, carrying the sharp, clean scent of cryogenically cooled processors. The room is dominated by a towering, cylindrical core of layered crystal and shimmering light, from which countless filaments of coherent energy snake out across the ceiling and into the walls, a silent, thrumming nervous system for the entire Veridian campus. Her fingers fly across a holographic interface she summons from the core, the light painting her face in shifting shades of blue and white. She navigates through layers of encrypted directories, her heart hammering against her ribs, every shadow in the vast room feeling like a watching eye. She bypasses firewalls with elegant, malicious code, diving deeper into the black budget projects, the ones that don't officially exist. And then she finds it. The file is designated Aegis Program. The logo is a stark, intimidating shield, emblazoned over a stylized, aggressive double helix. With a trembling finger, she taps the file open. The holographic display erupts with schematics and video footage that makes the blood drain from her face. It's Symbiont. Her Symbiont. But it's been twisted, perverted. The simulations show it being injected into soldiers, but not to heal them. The organism is being hyperstimulated, forced to rebuild muscle tissue with brutal, unnatural density, to weave a lattice of hypersensitive nerve endings that heighten aggression, to fuse with cybernetic implants that allow for external, remote control. The footage shows a test subject, a man with dead eyes, regenerating a bullet wound in seconds, his flesh knitting back together with a visible, nauseating ripple of gold and green, only for him to then, on command, shatter a reinforced concrete wall with his bare fists. This isn't medicine. This is the creation of a living weapon. Her stomach churns, a bitter taste of horror and betrayal filling her mouth. Her life's work, her dream of ending human suffering, has been reverse-engineered into a tool for perfect, programmable violence. The gentle, healing language of life she discovered has been rewritten into a scream of pure destruction. She feels a physical revulsion, a need to vomit to purge the complicity from her body. She is so lost in the horrific details, in the chillingly clinical narration of the Aegis program's objectives, that she doesn't hear the nearly silent approach of soft-soled shoes on the polished floor. I must admit, Aris, your curiosity is as formidable as your intellect. The smooth, familiar voice cuts through the hum of the data core like a shard of ice, and Aris's blood freezes solid in her veins. Her hands, which were a moment ago flying across the holographic interface, fall still, hovering in the air as if paralyzed. The horrific images of the Aegis program, the twisted soldiers, the brutalized flesh, the dead eyes, still glow brilliantly before her, a damning indictment of her own naivete. Slowly, with a stiffness that speaks of profound dread, she turns to face the source of the voice. Julian Vance stands just inside the massive titanium doorway, which has slid shut behind him with a final, ominous thud. He is not smiling. His hands are tucked casually into the pockets of his impeccably tailored, liquid-gray suit, a picture of relaxed authority. His expression is one of mild, almost paternal disappointment, but his eyes are the cold, flat gray of a winter sea, and they hold hers with an unnerving, absolute stillness. The pulsating light from the data core casts his sharp features in alternating waves of blue and shadow, making him look like a statue carved from living stone. I must admit, Aris, he continues, his voice a deceptively soft murmur that nonetheless carries perfectly in the cavernous, chilled space, your curiosity is as formidable as your intellect. Though I had hoped your sense of corporate loyalty would be their equal. This, he gestures with a faint, dismissive tilt of his chin towards the glowing Aegis schematics, is not your concern. This is the necessary evolution of a tool. The real world, the world beyond these pristine walls, requires more than just healing. It requires strength. It requires order. Evolution. Julian, this is a perversion. You're using my work, the work that was supposed to end suffering, to create monsters. Those are people in those videos. You're turning them into programmable weapons. She takes a step back, her shoulder blades pressing against the cool, humming surface of the central core, seeking a solidity that is no longer there. Vance takes a single, measured step forward, his soft-soled shoes making no sound on the polished floor. The distance between them feels like a precipice. We are giving them a purpose far greater than their own fragile lives, he corrects her, his tone still infuriatingly calm, a lecturer addressing a slow student. Symbiont was always a key, Aris. You saw it as a key to a hospital door. I see it as a key to global stability. Imagine an army that cannot be defeated. A peacekeeping force that feels no fear, sheds no unnecessary blood, and can be deployed and de-escalated with a single command. The end of human conflict, achieved not through messy diplomacy, but through undeniable biological supremacy. The Aegis program doesn't create monsters. It renders war itself obsolete. This isn't peace, it's slavery. You're enslaving the human body, its very biology, to a command console. My code, the language I wrote for healing, you've corrupted it into shackles. And your code is the most elegant I have ever seen. Which is why this doesn't have to be a confrontation. He spreads his hands in a gesture of magnanimous offering. This can be a recruitment. I am not here to punish you, Aris. I am here to promote you. Join the Aegis program. Lead it. Your genius, your intimate understanding of Symbiont, is the final piece of the puzzle. Stop fighting this inevitable progress and help me guide it. You can have a direct hand in shaping the future of human security. The salary, the resources, they would be beyond your wildest academic dreams. You would be an architect of the new world, not just a technician in a lab. For a fleeting, horrifying second, she imagines it. The unlimited funding, the pinnacle of corporate power, the ability to perhaps, from the inside, steer the project back towards the light. But then she looks past him, at the hologram still displaying the cold, clinical list of the program's objectives. Subject obedience. Pain threshold amplification. Lethal force authorization. She sees the face of the test subject, the emptiness where a soul should be. She thinks of the gentle, golden-green swirl of symbiont in its incubation bath, a thing of beauty she created, and feels a wave of nausea so powerful she has to steady herself against the core. No, she says, and the word is quiet but absolute, a stone dropped into a still pond. I will not help you build your army. I would rather burn it all to the ground. The friendly CEO is gone, leaving only the sterile, recycled air of the data nexus seems to crystallize around Aris's single, defiant word. No. The syllable hangs between them, a fragile, broken thing that nonetheless carries the weight of her entire shattered world. Julian Vance's face, which had been a mask of weary resignation, hardens into something ancient and unforgiving, like granite weathered by 1,000 storms. The last vestiges of the charming, supportive CEO evaporate, leaving behind the cold, ruthless architect of a future she wants no part of. A pity, he says, his voice now stripped of all its previous warmth and resonance, becoming a flat, metallic monotone that echoes faintly in the vast, humming chamber. Such a monumental waste of potential. You had a chance to stand at the right hand of a new god, Aris, to help me sculpt the next epoch of humanity. Instead, you choose to be a footnote, a cautionary tale about the dangers of sentimentality in a world that has outgrown it. He doesn't move, but his stillness is more threatening than any advance. He is a predator who knows the cage door is already locked. Aris's mind, frozen by terror and betrayal just moments before, is now a supercomputer calculating impossibly long odds. The data core hums against her back, a vibration she feels deep in her bones. Her eyes, wide with a frantic, trapped animal awareness, dart from Vance's implacable form to the shimmering, layered crystal of the core itself. The Aegis program schematics still glow accusingly beside her, a nightmare made manifest in light and data. She cannot let this out. She cannot let him win. Her life's work must not become the foundation for a global tyranny. The thought is a clean, sharp spike of clarity amidst the chaos of her fear. It's not sentimentality, Julian, she says, her voice gaining a shred of strength, fueled by a rising, righteous fury. It's conscience. Something you apparently had surgically removed on your way to the top. You talk about gods and epics, but you're just a man building a bigger, more cruel cage. My work was meant to set people free from their broken bodies. Yours is meant to enslave their very biology. There's no world, no future, in which that is progress. As she speaks, her left hand, hidden from his view by the curve of the core, slowly, infinitesimally moves behind her back. Her fingers trace the familiar, cool surface of the primary access panel, searching by memory alone for the manual override port. Vance lets out a soft, dismissive sigh, the sound of a man bored by a tedious philosophical debate. Conscience is a luxury afforded by safety, Aris. A luxury we can no longer afford. The world is a fractured, violent place, and it requires definitive, unyielding solutions. The Aegis program is that solution. And you, he finally moves, taking one deliberate step forward, then another, closing the distance with the silent, fluid grace of a shark, are now the primary obstacle to its implementation. I cannot allow that. Her heart hammers a frantic, staccato rhythm against her ribs, so loud she is sure he must hear it. She keeps her eyes locked on his, a desperate gambit to hold his attention. What are you going to do, Julian? Have me decommissioned? Erased from the records? Another casualty of corporate progress. She injects as much scorn as she can muster into the words, hoping to feed his ego, to make him monologue, to buy herself the few precious seconds she needs. A thin, cruel smile touches his lips. Nothing so dramatic. You will be reassigned. A long-term, deeply classified research post in one of our remote facilities. Your genius is still an asset, Aris, even if your will is not. We have methods of encouraging cooperation. The symbiont itself can be recalibrated to enhance suggestibility. It would be the ultimate irony, wouldn't it? Using your creation to secure your compliance. The horror of his proposal is so absolute, so violating, that it momentarily steals her breath. He plans to use symbiont on her asterisk, to hollow her out and turn her into one of his own programmable instruments. It is the final confirmation she needs. There is no walking away from this. There is only burning it down. With a sudden, sharp intake of breath, her right hand flies to the data slate still clutched in her other hand. She doesn't look at it. Her fingers, moving with an instinctual, pre-programmed speed born of 1,000 late nights in her lab, dance across its surface. She is not accessing files. She is inputting a sequence she never, ever thought she would use. Vance's eyes narrow, sensing the shift, the sudden, decisive movement. "What are you doing?" he demands, his voice losing its cool control for the first time, sharp with suspicion. Aris ignores him. Her left hand, still behind her back, presses the single, physical emergency key she has secretly wired into the core's housing, a final, fail-safe measure only the creator of the system, the final, fail-safe measure only the creator of the system's core architecture could possibly know. Her thumb presses down on the hidden, recessed key. It gives way with a soft, almost inaudible asterisk click that to Aris sounds as loud as a thunderclap in the tense silence. For a single, agonizing heartbeat, nothing happens. Julian Vance stands frozen, his cold gray eyes locked on her, his body coiled with a sudden, predatory tension. The only sound is the relentless, low-frequency hum of the data core, a sound that has been the backdrop to her life for years. She wonders, with a spike of sheer terror, if her secret backdoor, her personal kill switch, has been discovered and dismantled. Then the world dissolves into chaos. A blinding, crimson light erupts from the central core, strobing through the cavernous space in frantic, panicked pulses, casting their faces in alternating washes of blood-red and deep shadow. A deafening, klaxon alarm shrieks through the air, a sound so piercing and visceral it feels like a physical assault, vibrating through the polished floor and up into the bones of her feet. The gentle, ambient hum of the core transforms into an angry, rising whine, the pitch climbing higher and higher, as if the very heart of Veridian Dynamics is screaming in protest. "What have you done?" Vance's voice is a raw, furious shout, barely audible over the cacophony. His mask of cool control shatters completely, replaced by a visage of pure, unadulterated rage. His eyes are wide, wild, the pupils contracted to pinpricks in the strobing red light. He takes a lurching step towards her, his hand darting inside his suit jacket. But Aris is already moving, driven by a surge of adrenaline that burns away her fear, leaving only a cold, clear purpose. She ducks as he lunges for her, his fingers grazing the fabric of her lab coat instead of closing around her arm. She stumbles back, putting the shuddering, overheating mass of the data core between them. The air, once chilled and sterile, is now growing thick and hot, smelling sharply of scorched ozone and superheated metal. From the speakers embedded in the ceiling, a calm, synthesized female voice begins to speak, its placid tone a grotesque contrast to the visual and auditory bedlam. Sterilization Protocol Sigma 9 initiated. All biohazardous materials marked for incineration. All project data on primary and secondary servers undergoing irreversible cryptographic shred. This action is final and non-negotiable. Vance roars, his face a contorted mask of fury and disbelief. He gestures wildly at the core, at the screaming alarms, at the entirety of the empire she is systematically dismantling with a single command. Do you have any idea what you're destroying? This is the future. You're burning down the future. Aris shouts back, her voice strained but defiant, her body braced against the core's increasing vibrations. I'm burning down your weapon. I'm giving my creation a proper burial. It was born to heal, Julian, not to be perverted into your tool of conquest. This is a mercy killing. She can feel the heat of the core through the back of her lab coat, a warning of the systemic meltdown she has triggered. In her mind's eye, she pictures her private lab, the gentle golden-green glow of the symbiont incubation units being extinguished forever by jets of superheated plasma, the beautiful, swirling organisms turning to inert, sterile ash. The thought is a physical pain, a deep, wrenching loss that brings hot tears to her eyes, but it is a clean pain, a necessary amputation. Vance doesn't answer with words. With a guttural cry of pure rage, he vaults over a low console, closing the distance between them in 2 powerful strides. There is no negotiation left in him, no offer of a promotion, only the primal need to stop her, to punish her for this ultimate act of betrayal. He grabs for her, his hands like claws, his perfectly styled hair now disheveled, his liquid gray suit looking like a costume he has finally torn off. Aris scrambles backward, her heel catching on a loose conduit on the floor. She falls hard, the impact jarring her teeth, the breath rushing from her lungs in a pained gasp. The world tilts, the strobing red light and screaming alarm disorienting her. He looms over her, a silhouette of pure menace against the frantic crimson pulses, his face shadowed and demonic. "I will rebuild it," he snarls, his voice a low, venomous promise. "It will take years, a decade, but I will pull every string of your precious code from your mind if I have to. You have accomplished nothing but your own ruin." He reaches for her again, and this time, there is nowhere for her to go. But as his hand closes around the collar of her lab coat, a new sound joins the symphony of destruction, a deep, resonant groaning of overstressed metal from deep within the data core. The angry whine peaks into a shriek, and a series of violent, concussive asterisk thumps echo from its heart. The deep, resonant groaning from the data core escalates into a deafening roar, a sound of a dying leviathan. The concussive thumps from within its crystalline heart grow more frequent, more violent, shaking the very floor beneath them. A network of hairline fractures, glowing with the angry red of molten slag, spiders up the core's shimmering surface, casting a web of frantic, pulsing light across the ceiling. The air is now thick with the acrid stench of melting polymer and vaporized rare earth metals, a toxic fog that burns Aris's throat with every ragged, panicked breath. Julian Vance's grip on her lab coat collar tightens, his knuckles white, his face a mask of apocalyptic fury mere inches from hers. The strobing crimson light flashes in his wide, wild eyes, revealing a depth of hatred she never knew he possessed. "You think this is over?" He snarls, his voice raw and shredded by the overwhelming noise. "This is a setback. A costly, irritating setback. I will have every byte of data recovered from the quantum fragments. I will have you strapped to a table, and your cortex scanned until your mind is a hollowed-out shell. Your conscience will be the first thing I erase." A section of the layered crystal facade directly behind Aris explodes outward, not with fire, but with a silent, terrifying wave of pure, blue-white energy. It is an electromagnetic pulse, visible as a shimmering distortion in the air. The wave hits them both. For Aris, it feels like every nerve in her body is simultaneously set on fire and frozen solid. A blinding, white-hot pain lances through her skull, and a high-pitched whine fills her ears, drowning out even the blaring alarms. Her muscles seize, and she convulses on the floor, her vision swimming with dancing, psychedelic static. The world dissolves into a nonsensical collage of strobe lights and agony. Vance is thrown backward, as if hit by a physical force. He crashes into a bank of now-darkened control consoles, his body slumping to the floor, a marionette with its strings cut. The holographic display of the Aegis program winks out of existence, its terrifying future extinguished in an instant. The synthesized voice of the sterilization protocol stutters, glitches, and then falls silent, its work complete. Only the klaxon continues its mindless, panicked wail, a lone witness to the digital massacre. Aris lies gasping, the paralyzing effects of the pulse slowly receding, leaving behind a body that feels battered and foreign. She pushes herself up onto her elbows, her head spinning, the metallic taste of blood sharp in her mouth from where she bit her tongue. Through the swirling, toxic haze and the relentless red pulses, she sees Vance stirring. He is moving, one hand clutching his head, a dark trickle of blood tracing a path from his temple down his perfectly sculpted jawline. He is down, but he is not out. The corporate security forces, drawn by the cataclysmic alarm, will be swarming the Nexus any second. Her window for escape is measured in heartbeats. With a groan that is torn from the depths of her soul, Aris forces herself to her feet. Her legs are unsteady, trembling with adrenaline and the aftermath of the EMP. She stumbles past the shuddering, dying core, its internal light now flickering erratically like a failing star. She doesn't look back at Vance. She can't. Every instinct screams at her to run, to put as much distance as possible between herself and the tomb she has made of her life's work. She lurches towards the massive titanium door, which is now sealed shut, its mechanisms likely fried by the pulse. Her mind, though rattled, scrambles for a solution. The service panel. She slams her palm against it, but it is dark and unresponsive. She whispers the genetic seed key, her voice a hoarse croak, but nothing happens. They are trapped in a dying room, a polished obsidian coffin. A new sound cuts through the persistent alarm, a heavy, rhythmic pounding from the other side of the door. Muffled shouts. Security has arrived. They are trying to breach the manual override to force their way in. She has seconds. Her eyes dart around the chamber, landing on a maintenance hatch, almost invisible, set into the wall a few meters away, an emergency ventilation conduit access point. It's a tight fit, a claustrophobic's nightmare, but it's her only chance. As she stumbles towards it, her fingers fumbling for the release catch, a hand closes like a vice around her ankle. She cries out, stumbling, her chin cracking against the hard floor. She twists onto her back to see Julian Vance, half crawling, his face a bloody, contorted mask of pure determination. His other hand is pressed against a comms unit on his wrist, its tiny indicator light flickering weakly. All points Thorne sabotage, he gasps into the device, his voice a broken, staticky rasp. She is not to escape the campus, dead or alive. The message is fragmented, but its meaning is terrifying.